It is a truth universally acknowledged that if you cry in your hometown in any place that is not your bedroom and your place of residence, someone you know will see you. And that brings us to our first story in this second park. I am so excited about what is about to happen. Got like stuck in my lip. We're about to do a tour of all the parks that I've cried in my hometown. I'm here in a very large park that has a major commuter road running through it. And so I have cried in this park, but in like a driving through it and just happened to be in the park kind of way, not in like a going to this park to cry. But I thought this would be a good place to start. Actually, I was just already out and I was driving through it and I was like, we're gonna start making this right now. So let's get started. This is actually a really pretty park. This park is not where you come to cry. This park is where you come to party. Oh, stop. Really? We're gonna make this work if it's the last thing I do. No, we're not. We're definitely not gonna make this work. Anyways, there's this park. This park is called the Arboretum, which is a very creative name. I went to a field trip once. It was my sister's field trip, but I insisted on going because I was a nerd, and they said to us the Arboretum means tree place. As you can tell, a very creative name for a very creative park. Here is one of the many parking lots along the commuter arterial that I mentioned. If you go up there, you can find special spots that will be ridden with children. And by children, I mean high schoolers, if this were a Friday. But I don't know, Spody season is upon us, so it probably honestly would be this Friday. Oh, cool, that kind of works. It is a truth universally acknowledged that if you cry in your hometown in any place that is not your bedroom and your place of residence, someone you know will see you. And that brings us to our first story in this second park. This park used to be known for its topless beach, but I don't know if anyone actually does that anymore. Here we are in the park. It's actually mostly just a parking lot for this beach. And I've had quite an experience in this parking lot. There's one time. So I'm back in my car because some man was looking at me, told this very traumatic story about me crying in this park. And I don't want him to hear it, so we're back in the car. So, once I was crying in this very car, in this very parking lot of this very park, and I was blasting some terrible music. It was like Hoodie Allen, it was like the worst music. And like not normal hip Hoodie Allen, like sad Hoodie Allen. Because, okay, here's my take on why Hoodie Allen is the best sad music. So he has some like sad songs, but they're not like really that sad because it's Hoodie Allen. So it's just like he's saying something stupid. It can't make you feel worse, but it like gives you the like release that you need in listening to sad music. So that's why I was blasting some No Faith in Brooklyn. And then, okay, I had this really eclectic math teacher for like a year and a half in high school, and she always biked around, and she was an odd lady. It's just me, because it's late at night at this parking lot, unlike right now when there's everyone and their mother. And then, oh, like, where are you people coming from? What are you doing here? Hope they're not filming videos about why they cried in parks. This is my idea. And then this lady comes up on a bike looking around, and I was like, okay, she's not like gonna come that close to me, right? And then she comes like goes like across and comes a little closer, and I'm like, this is weird. And I was like kind of thinking about leaving, but I'm like, I'm crying in the park. Anyone should respect that and leave me the heck alone. And then the bike comes back and the lady comes straight in and looks straight in my passenger window, and I'm like, I swear to God, it was this eclectic math teacher. And so then I left and went to another park that we will visit shortly. So here's the park. If you were to get out, I don't think I've ever cried out of the car because honestly, this is a creepy place to be at night, believe it or not. I would recommend it for just hanging out though, I guess. It's kind of fun. We got this geese. Well, I just learned that this park is still used for topless and bottomless sunbathing. So we're leaving before I cry in this park again. This next park, I can't say with full certainty that I've cried in it before, but it is a nice lookout, and a friend shared it with me, and that friend is a true sad boy, so we're in the spirit of that. We're gonna include it on this tour. to cry about. I live in the most beautiful place on earth. Oh my god. Like, this really is not a park. Like, this is just kind of the end of a dead-end street. So yeah. Here, this whole drive kind of looks like a park, which is just very awesome. Well, there's definitely people here, aren't there? Oh yeah, these people were leaving. There are all these high school boys at this park, so I waited for them to leave so I can go in it now. For most cool teens, this would be a smoke spot, but for me, I prefer to cry in the parks instead of smoke in the parks, and so this is a cry spot. Actually, this is like such a cool park, and it's, I don't know, people just use it for drugs, but like, I think it just is worth so much more than that. So one time I was crying on this rock and I smelled like boy, like it smelled like a man. Later I figured it was the rock, but I just thought there was a man standing over there waiting to murder me. And I was crying and I was like, please don't murder me. And so I went through my whole why I was crying spiel, hoping that then the murderer would think that I was too freaking pathetic to murder right now, and it would just like, you wouldn't get the power that you're supposed to feel when you murder someone, because it would have been like stomping on a cockroach, you know? I eventually got to a point where I'm like, okay, well, I'm leaving now, I'm gonna get up and go. I feel like you're not gonna murder me, and I feel like we've have this mutual understanding going on. And so I get up to leave, and I hear some rustling, I hear someone leaving, and there are these, like, I walk out the park, and I see in front of me, walking out of the park, were these two girls who I, like, vaguely knew from high school, and I was like, they heard that whole thing. This next park is actually more of a dock situation than a park situation, but I'd like to, like, reiterate, does anyone in this city have a job? Like, everywhere I go is packed. Here's this park. It's docks where people come in the daytime. It's a fun place to see everyone you ever went to school with. And the nighttime, it's a fun place to cry and look at the water. The city over there gets all lit up, so that's really pretty. And there's usually no one here late at night, especially if it's on a colder month, which makes it extra miserable. You got the nice water. You can stare at your reflection and pretend you're Mulan. And plus, it's parking, right? Very, very accessible parking. And I don't know, I feel like this is better lit than some of the other places, so I feel less like I'm gonna get murdered, which is pretty in the forefront of my mind just because of who I am as a person. I've literally never seen people in this park. Why does no one in this city work? Here we go, here's this park. It's another water park. That is the freeway, and my dad used to have a friend when he was a youth causing trouble in the public parks. He had a friend that had a house right next to the freeway, and they would go on here for parties and jump off of it. But as we have established, I had different ways of utilizing the public parks in my city. Here is a nice little beach thing. There's a deck. And we got this cool sun deck for the water. And this park extends way over there. It's actually a really cool park, and I don't know why I don't go here more often, but above all else, it is a great place to cry. The audio might be really terrible in this one because you can hear the freeway, but here we are. On this side, we have a nice beach, and on this side, we have a parking lot that anyone can cry in. Also, I really was hoping to use that public bathroom, because this park is a public bathroom that isn't open during crying hours, but is open during the day, and boba is a diuretic, but there are weird people wandering around the park, so we're gonna not. I'd also like to acknowledge that when I say there are weird people wandering around the park, I understand that I am one of the weird people wandering around the park, and that I am coming to like every park in the area, filming it for like 1 minute and then leaving. So, I've never cried here, but I should have. Oh my god, look at that. So here is the first park that I cried in, the original Cry Park. It's kind of similar to the other one in that it's just kind of the end of the street with a lookout. This has a whole lot more grass, and it has these things that you could perch on, I suppose. We got another nice view. It's kind of the same view. They're all kind of the same view, but I don't know. A whole lot of blackberries, so if you're crying in summer, you can get a snack. When I was really little and my dad took me up here, I called it Lookout Lake, because if anyone has read the Franklin the Turtle books, his dad took him to a place called Lookout Lake. So then I decided to name that after that. I don't think it has a real name because, as I said earlier, I don't think it's an actual park. I guess it is officially 100% Lookout Lake. This is actually my favorite parking lot in the entire city. You have a nice view of the lake here, and then there's this Nice little tree thing that blocks you off from the road. It's a little bit thicker down there. And usually this park is kind of rather empty at night. It's also just kind of a fun place to take your friends to hang out. I don't know, it feels like the perfect teen summer movie setting for me. I don't know, I really like this park. And then over here we have another park I've cried in. This is definitely more of a park. My eyes are so bad I literally cannot tell if there are people on that bench or not. Cried on that bench, cried walking back from this bench. It's a really nice little space to be though. Now this park is kind of special to me because it's where I took my prom photos. Okay, so I ended up with a huge prom group because like everyone who wasn't a social pariah or like intimidatingly cool was like, oh, I don't have a group, I should latch onto one. And my group was the in-between between social pariah and intimidatingly cool. And so we ended up having like 60 people trying to take pictures. It was an interesting experience and I was in charge of all of it. Furthermore, in this parking lot, since teenagers in my city have been drinking in the city parks for decades, my uncle used to hold kegs here. He had a stamp that said keg paid in full, and you would pay for your keg and then you would get the stamp on your hand. And the stamp still exists somewhere in my family archives. So this parking lot and park have been a part of my family very prominently for a really long time. And alas, I have cried in it. So this is the entrance to a very, very large park, and I have cried in like every crevice of it. So we're gonna try to get some footage, but I don't really want to walk the entire thing to show you everywhere where I've cried in this park. First of all, that parking lot over there, I was crying in once after I went to work, and I worked at a restaurant. And I remember there's this couple that came in. They were obviously on like a first or second date, a new date, and they were dressed very well, and people don't dress well for my restaurant. So it was very interesting to see them, and so I really remembered them, and I was crying in that parking lot, and then they walked by, and I was like, oh great, I know that couple. I doubt they recognized me. I don't even think they saw me, whether or not they recognized me. So this park is really big. I've had lots of experiences here. This is where you go to hang out. We took a lot of field trips here in like elementary school. So this park has been very prominent in my life, and so of course I've cried in it many a times. There's many nooks and crannies to go sit in when you want to cry. And as you can see, it's so big that like, see, if I'm here, if I'm parked here and I'm crying and I want to get out and enjoy the nature, I can just walk down there. If you see tiny peaks of lake, yeah, I can sit under a tree there and cry. Or if I'm here and then someone comes and parks next to me, which happens sometimes, then I can leave and go park somewhere else and cry there. What a prominent park this is, I feel like I haven't seen that many people I know, or that many people I know have not seen me crying in this park. So that's pretty cool. I think maybe because it's so big, and since I'm usually here if I'm crying here, it's going to be at a weird hour of the night. A couple times my mom signed me and her and my sister up for this thing called the Diva Dash, and it was where you ran the perimeter of this park, and not like just this part, like of the entire park. It's not small. My mom called it the Diva Drag. I definitely cried at that. So they were finally paving a street. You all have no idea how long it took me to get here. It took me like 15 minutes to get, and it's right here. And this is, again, it's not really a park. It's more of just, I don't know, this looks like a park, but honestly I think it's someone's yard. And I got quite a story about crying in this park-like area. I was parked right up here. I'm actually gonna pull in so we get a full effect of this terrible thing that happened to me. And so I mentioned earlier that I worked at a restaurant, and I was parked right here. So, someone who worked there bought it with his in-laws, and the in-laws, I had just kind of started to meet them. It was his brother's in-law. They were very, very nice, personable men, and they had very clearly been in a frat. They were that kind of dude. And there was one day I was crying here, like not small crying, like big crying. I don't think it's technically a park, but I really think it counts. It has the feel of a park, and a lot of the other parks I was in were literally just parking lots. So like, it's a park. Then the next day, I'm in work, and one of the guys who is technically now my boss is like, oh, I saw you in your car. I saw you in your car up by Graham Street. And I was like, did you now? Did you really now? And he's like, oh yeah, you were just sitting over by the trees. And I was, yeah, that was me. So my boss saw me crying here. So we're at my final stop, and that is my elementary school playground. And I cried in this park not only for like normal elementary school things, but also just because I was that bitch when I was like a youngin'. When I was in like 6th grade, I would just sit in that corner over there and cry. And so I'm gonna try to make this as not creepy as possible because it's 4 o'clock, so there's still like kids in part of it, but not in the part that I am trying to film. So we're gonna do our best. So there you have it, an inclusive tour of all the parks I've cried in my hometown. I didn't include names of the parks, like official names, for the most part, because I already have a lot of information about where I am in the world on the internet right now, and I really just don't need to be more specific. But if you are someone who knows me in real life, where if you are watching this, there is a 90% chance you know me in real life, and you would like some insights onto where to cry in our hometown, then hit me up. Just send me a text or an Instagram message or a Facebook message or a Snapchat and ask me about which park, inquire about which park, and I can let you know. I bet these parks would also be good for canoodling because they were chosen because they are private for the most part and tend to be unbothered at night. But I'm not canoodling in them, I'm crying in them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you stuck to the end, I'm so impressed because honestly, like thinking back, this is probably kind of a very boring video. So that's it for today. I will be back this summer because I still need more hobbies, so I will probably be keeping this up a little bit. I don't know, I'm like not doing as much. Oh my god, some man just stared at me out of his car window as he drove by. Just let me talk to my phone in a public park. Oh my god. Yeah, but so I haven't been posting as much singing stuff because like I do post it just for me, but like I don't know, after a while when you're singing, like screaming into the void, your voice gets hoarse. Doesn't matter if you're just screaming for the joy of screaming. And so I'm probably not going to do that every week because it's a lot of energy and a lot of like emotional output for really just me. And yeah, so if I'm not really enjoying it that much, then but I don't know, I'll probably be uploading stupid videos like this as the inspiration strikes, because as I said, I need new hobbies. Thank you for watching, and see you next time for what the heck is Lila up to this summer?